Welcome to Clicks and Coffee. I'm Alexander, and here we dive deep into the journeys of entrepreneurs and marketing innovators. Each episode, we uncover the challenges, triumphs, and unique strategies of our amazing guests, giving you valuable insights and inspiration. Our goal is to build a community of growth-oriented professionals ready to learn, collaborate, and thrive in the ever-evolving world of digital marketing. So whether you're here for the latest trends or looking for that next big idea, you've come to the right place. Let's get started. Today, we've got Jack and Cole, the two CEOs of Strobes and More, joining us. Jack and Cole have a very interesting and unusual background and story on how they became the CEOs of Strobes and More, and I can't wait for you to hear their stories. Let's dive in. Jack and Cole, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Alex. We appreciate the opportunity, and we're looking forward to jumping in.
Yeah, great to be here. Excited to talk some digital marketing today.
All right, so can you tell me a little bit about your career journey and how did you become CEOs of Strobes and More?
Sure. So just for starters, we purchased Strobes and More from the original founder and then owner-operator last fall. So 11/1 of 2023, we became the new owners of the business. Company had been around for roughly 30 years and had been operated by the same gentleman for that entire time. So this was a buy as opposed to a build. And Cole and I purchased the business via the search fund model, which is what I would say is a pretty rapidly growing asset class in kind of the alternative asset micro private equity world. So at this point in time, we've been running the business for roughly 10 months. Thankfully, the place hasn't burned down, and we're really excited about some of the digital and physical marketing initiatives that we've got going on at Strobes and More. Backing up a little bit further, so Cole and I were undergraduate buddies. We went to school at the University of Alabama. We were fraternity brothers and roommates for several years. Cole was an electrical engineer. I was a finance guy. We kind of kept in touch after undergrad. Cole moved back to Atlanta, which was his hometown, took a role with General Electric in their power and gas division. I went and did the investment banking thing. And the very abridged version of the story is that after 5 to 7 years in the corporate world, we decided that although we had learned a ton and gained a lot of great skills, we were ready to do something ourselves. We wanted to have some autonomy. We wanted to be entrepreneurs for a variety of different reasons, and we wanted to be owners of something and have the equity upside that comes along with that. So that led us to pursuing the search fund path. We basically said to ourselves, all right, we have complementary backgrounds. Cole has kind of an operations-centric professional past with the engineering degree and his time at GE, and I have an M&A skill set with decent financial acumen, and then there's some overlap in between. So that was the genesis of our work partnership together. That really kicked off in 2021. It's roughly when we started ideating. Cole left GE, went to a private equity-backed REIT in Atlanta to do some additional operations and FP&A work there. I went to grad school, and we met the broker that was representing Strobes and More in roughly January, February of 2023. We had, well, I guess we really liked companies that were distributing or servicing a safety and security related product. And we did not necessarily think we would end up buying a distributor, installer, and servicer of emergency vehicle equipment because it's a little bit too niche and nuanced to ever really come up with. But we liked safety and security for a laundry list of reasons. And when we were presented with the opportunity, we kind of just pounced on it. And the seller was willing to part ways with the business for a reasonable price. We thought we could line up the requisite financing via debt and equity relationships that we have. And 6 months later, we were the proud owners of an e-commerce based distributor of emergency vehicle equipment for
But
government.
so just the story is like you were buddies in school, and then you went your separate ways, still kept in touch, and then were you one day like at the bar and say like, hey, you know what, we should like figure out how to start a business together? Or like how did that story of owning a business came about? And can you tell us a little bit about Search Fund? Because you told me that it's growing, which means that it's not something very common. So how that story came about between the two of you?
Yeah, you're close.
It's not very something that we hear a lot of, like, let's buy a business together. It's like usually people say like, let's start a business together, but here it's like, let's buy a business together.
Yep. So you're not too far off. We were on a couples weekend at my in-laws in North Carolina, enjoying ourselves. And then I think we may have had a cocktail or two, but we're kind of like, let's figure out a way to work together. We're very complementary, like skill sets. If you kind of put Jack and I together, we make a good team, competent team. We think about the world together, or think about the world in the same way. So let's figure out what to do. And we had a few buddies at the time who were probably a couple years ahead of us, who had dived into the ETA space, so entrepreneurship through acquisition, which is probably the broader term over Search Fund. There's a couple different models between independent sponsor, there's traditional search, self-funded search. So we started just ideating and talking to some of those folks.
So basically you were talking, and like you knew that some people bought businesses at your age, and you were like, why don't we do the same thing? And then start basically talking to these people and figuring out how to buy a business like that, basically.
Exactly. It's an alternative form of entrepreneurship where you purchase an existing business, ideally one that has been around for at least a decade, that already has product market fit, existing customers, and consequently revenue and cash flows. So you kind of
gives you basically the idea, I would say it's like, the business has been around, so technically, even if you mess up a little bit, you should be okay. So it's kind of like entrepreneurship, I would say, in a more safer way. Could I put it like that?
I think that's fair. Yeah. You skip the 0 to 1 phase, which is where most startups fail. And again, we didn't have an idea for like the next Meta or Google or Microsoft. So this was a compelling opportunity for a variety of reasons. And the economics for the entrepreneurs, if things go relatively well, are also attractive. But on top of that, you get autonomy, and assuming you're setting the vision and executing, you're your own boss, and there are all sorts of pros that come with this model of entrepreneurship, I think.
And so how did you manage to buy a business? Was it like, personal money, or did you have how did you manage to acquire this business?
So we used, there are different sources of capital that are available to the different forms of like acquisition entrepreneurs. But I guess in our case, we used an SBA loan to finance the debt component of the purchase price. There was a piece of seller carry below the SBA debt and above the equity folks that helped us out in the purchase, which basically means that we agreed to pay the seller, X amount over X period of time after we acquired the business, and that decreases your kind of total capital need on closing day. And then we raised some equity from a consortium of great individual investors, group of roughly 20, most of whom we kind of knew professionally, personally, and had developed relationships with during the ideation phase and when I was in grad school, I would say.
Yeah, it's a great group of folks, a good mix of either old personal or professional connections, and also just people who are invested in the space, know the ETA model well, and have been operators themselves who can kind of help guide us along the way, and kind of assist on the journey. So it's a good.
So that was a group effort, and then from there, so you found all these people, and then you said, previously that you were looking for a security related business, and then you start searching online for businesses for sale that match your criteria, found Strobes and More, looked at the business sound great, and then you acquired it basically.
Yep. We found the company through Axial, which is I'd say premium business for sale site, where if you're a qualified or credentialed buyer, you can set up a profile, and you get access to listings from brokers and bankers in the lower middle market SMB space. Yeah, I mean, it took us 6 months roughly to get it over the finish line, and you develop a little gray hair throughout that process, but all's well that ends well. And I would say the grass has been greener for the most part thus far. We're generally having fun with our experience, and coming from, I was in a white collar background for sure. Cole was kind of mixed given his role at GE, but it's very much a different experience than what we were used to, which brings about a lot of learning, and you learn how to manage people and people that maybe come from different backgrounds, and it's been really healthy and a really quality experience so far.
And so can you tell us a little bit about Strobes and More, and what does the business do? Because the name is sounds familiar, but at the same time, it's not familiar.
Yeah, so Strobes and More is a distributor, installer, and servicer of emergency vehicle equipment. So I think the most obvious example we generally use is the light bar on top of the law enforcement vehicle you see driving down the street. So we both sell those online and install them for local customers here in Rhode Island. But we also sell all types of different equipment that go into an emergency vehicle, like whether that be a console or a laptop holder or a push bumper on the front of the car, etc. So we carry the whole line of products that would go inside a law enforcement vehicle, as well as other first responder type vehicles.
So that's a pretty interesting thing, because usually I would say, like, as a person that buys a lot online, I would never have thought in my life that I would see, such a business online. So like, what are the customers that go on the website and buy, and like, so what type of people do you have buying, and how do you see things evolving in your industry on e-commerce? Because it seems to me that even though the business has been around for a while, that is not a very common thing to do business like that for this type of products.
No, I think you're right. So we are a B2B/B2G e-commerce distributor, which is really a mouthful and kind of a nuanced business model. But we are stocking and distributing products. And Alex just pulled up the website, which is actually in the midst of a little facelift. But you can kind of get an idea for the product line, right? So LED lights, sirens and speakers, flasher modules, other accessories for municipal and other kind of niche commercial customers. So I guess on the commercial side, you get towing companies and Verizon, AAA. Those are other kind of examples of commercial customers that buy our products. But I'd say about 15, 20 years ago, buyers of emergency vehicle equipment actually became receptive to the idea of placing their order online, because it just is much easier than going to a brick and mortar store or something like that. And to the previous owner's credit, he was kind of before his time in adopting the e-commerce model. So we've got one competitor on the West Coast that is also digitally based, but we're I would say somewhat light years ahead of the competition.
Yeah, I'd agree with you, Alex. At first glance, you think this is kind of an old world business, kind of salesman model, driving around to different police departments, selling these products, which still exist. And Jack hit on it. The prior owner was definitely ahead of his time, is kind of seeing where we were going. But like most things in our lives at this point in 2024, the internet has made it much easier. And so your purchaser at, Boston PD is now, his life's easier if he can go online and buy our products.
So you're really banking on, I would say, the new generation of people looking first online before asking around, like, hey, do you know somebody that sells that? But more like going on Google and be like, where can I buy a replacement light bar? Or is there anything else in the world out there?
Well, I guess hopefully the department that's buying is an existing customer of ours, and he won't have to Google around, because then he gets the ability to look on our competitors' pages. But we're working on that. But yeah, I think that's right. Whether you're, I mean, if you think about the three segments of public safety, it's law enforcement, fire, and EMS. But irrespective of which bucket you fall under, I think the next generation wants to be able to browse, by application, by light color configuration, whatever other cut you kind of can think of online in a user friendly environment. So that's really what we're focused on, just making it frictionless for those folks to actually make their purchase. And I think we kind of alluded to this earlier. Website is in the process of being migrated. We're switching to Shopify, which I think is going to be great for SEO and just general UX UI. But it's super important and like a pretty big move, given that that's our customer facing sales outlet at the end of the day.
All right, cool. And so how do you market this website? Because it sounds to me you kind of like at the, not the crossroads, but a little bit where you still have to do, I would say, old school marketing, and at the same time really trying to push as hard as you can on the digital marketing. So how do you separate your efforts, or how do you split your efforts on marketing this company, Strobes and More?
Yeah, I would say traditionally we were a little heavier on traditional marketing, and the team and the prior owner had built a really good brand equity. The Strobes and More name, at least within the industry, was respected, which led to a lot of organic traffic on the website. But since we've been in the seat, we've really been trying to focus on building the SEO presence, both with some just website uplift, as well as trying to become kind of thought leaders within the space and produce some content where we're actually directing customers and users, to the right products that will actually help them in their day-to-day, keeping the community safe. And then, we're also starting a focus on digital marketing within the PPC, paid per click space, which didn't really exist prior. So that's something new to both Jack and I and Strobes and More as a whole that we're starting to dive in on.
Yeah. Agreed. And it's also a risk mitigation tactic too, because we were heavily reliant on organic traffic. So upping that paid spend will help us from a top line perspective, and will decrease our reliance on just general organic traffic as well. The other, I mean, we still do some of the traditional like physical marketing stuff. We sponsored a little league team not long ago for this past spring season. So it's a small community, and I think
there's still trade shows and things in the industry that we go to get the name out there. But I think things are shifting towards the digital marketing. I think one of the things we kind of learned as we dove into the business is a good digital marketing program can almost act as your sales force. That was something that we didn't necessarily realize when we were diligencing the business, but we've come to learn and appreciate as we've gotten further in.
Yeah, no, that's a good, like, for a while we were just like, okay, why don't we hire a sales guy? But when you have a online based presence, like your website is your sales function, and it's great because it's more capital efficient, and it, I would say, provides for like more operational simplicity too. Like it's not hiring 6 to 8 John Smiths across the US to go pound the pavement. Like it's just increasing your spend in digital marketing. It's not going to be linear, but it really is the sales strategy.
It's operating leverage, so you can get in front of so many more eyes using the internet, which is not groundbreaking, but you can just get in front of people a lot quicker than if you had a traditional guy pounding the pavement.
This is all coming from e-commerce novices too, so there's the caveat.
Hey, listen, that's the whole point. No, but I'm that's pretty exciting to hear that, you know, as much as you believe in digital marketing, that I would say this kind of industry also relies on physical presence. We'll have to link the I don't know if the Little League team has a Facebook page or something, but we can give a couple of likes. And you know, are they good? Is it a good team? Are they winning the season?
We need to check in with them and see if
we need to check the 8-year-old standings here in the Westerly Little League, but I hope they're doing well.
Yeah. And our business is super popular on Facebook too. We've got kind of a budding page where different customers share their opinions on products and how to best install it if you're doing the DIY thing. But yeah, it's an incredibly fascinating business for sure. Tons of opportunity on the digital marketing front. And I mean, at the end of the day, we're helping first responders, whether you're professional or volunteer, do your job effectively. So we think that's kind of special as well. So, and we have a fantastic team that really does a great job of executing on a daily basis.
So since you guys seem to be more of the scientific, or I would say, you know, business-minded people, what are your top 3 KPIs that you focus on a monthly basis on the marketing side of things? Like what are the it can be a monthly, weekly, what are the 3 numbers that you guys are watching to make sure that you're on the right path every week, every month?
Probably ROAS by brand would be top of that list.
Yeah. ROAS by brand or by campaign on the PPC side is definitely one we're keeping a close eye on, making sure that's at the right level. And then on the SEO front, mainly looking at clicks and impressions right now, just trying to see which keywords are really driving both of those as our main focus right now as we're kind of learning this digital marketing side of things.
Yeah. And then I would say as our digital marketing efforts become more and more entrenched, we'll start to look at lifetime value and acquisition cost payback, things like that. I would say the other one that's like pretty prevalent now as we're getting up learning curve is conversion rate too, because you don't need to have 2 years worth of data to look at conversions.
Agreed.
No, for sure. And so that's why you're moving to Shopify. And how did you end up choosing Shopify?
We had obviously heard the name and used it in our personal lives. It's probably the most well-known e-commerce platform. So we kind of did our due diligence there. That was the place we started. I think we also reached out to the group of investors and some people with some e-commerce knowledge. And I think the main theme was like, even right after we bought the business, was you got to get on Shopify. Like just the ability to integrate with all the other systems we're using, the data that comes out of it just is going to make our operation smoother and drive more revenue, just because it makes it easier to buy for the customer.
Yeah, I would say we're on Ship for Shop currently, which used to be 3D Cart, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Definitely like what I would call like a legacy system. It's got its kinks for sure. It's a little bit slow. You almost make it like difficult for the customer to transact.
I think it's very rigid too. There's not a ton of flexibility on what we can do on our end, which to me drives the change to Shopify. We want to make our customer support team's job as easy as possible. So easy on both ends, both back end and on the sales side, so that customers, it's a seamless buy and seamless add to cart, so that that's generating revenue for us.
I'm excited for you to get the data on conversion rate, because that's going to be a big one, since, growing your conversion rate, let's say from 1% to 1.2%, is a huge lift, and it allows you to do a lot more sales, spending a lot less money on ads, which is always what we always thriving for.
I'm with you. The only other thing I was going to say on the website is that our current backbone does not interface with QuickBooks, which is our financial system, so it creates some operational headaches there. And Shopify obviously does have that QuickBooks plugin, so it should make our teams day to day much easier.
So it's going to help the team, it's going to help you, it's going to help the customers. So that's a good reason to switch to Shopify, which is also one of the e-commerce platform that we like to recommend at Pentelope for the same reason as well, because we know it integrates. There are so many developers that can help so many apps that you can download that will also help you with upsell, cross-sell options, etc., that I agree with you that it just makes your life, it makes everybody's life a lot easier. So one of the things that we didn't talk about, which I think is pretty interesting, especially in your case, because you acquired the company. So one day you showed up at the company and it's like, hey, what are you owners of the company? So how did you manage to foster, I would say, a positive and productive team culture, and how did you also manage to, or maybe you're still in the process, but making people change, because it seems to me that you're undertaking a lot of projects to make the company better. How did how did that work with the people, the current team that you guys had and kind of got thrown into?
I mean, I would say first that given we were trying to foster a sense of trust, we didn't make any promises that we couldn't keep. And starting on day one, we really just tried to telegraph the "we come in peace" mantra, right? Because it's a small business, roughly 20 team members, and small businesses don't function if their key associates leave, right? Because of new management coming in and trying to reinvent the wheel or whatever it may be. So those two things I think were paramount to success in the first 6 months. We also didn't really change a lot that was affecting the employee day to day over the first 3 months.
Agreed. We didn't try to make too much change in the first 3 months, a good time period, so that their day to day wasn't affected. Anything we did change was only a positive to them. Some HR and PTO type things for them that just made their lives a little bit better, but we did not change any of the day-to-day operations. I mean, Jack hit on it, right? It's a 20-person business. Small business doesn't work without your people. And Jack and I, being newcomers to the space and to managing a team of 20 people, it was in our best interest to keep these folks and make sure they're happy and earn their trust. So we also just came in, tried to treat everyone like humans, took everyone to lunch, got to know them a little bit, learned about their families, what they do for fun, just to get to know the team so that they understand we come in peace, right? Change is scary, especially change management. People want to know their job's secure. They want to know, that their life's not about to get turned upside down. So that was our biggest mantra, probably, and our biggest focus, right? Like we can wrap our arms around operations and start to change things now. But really just getting to know the team and making sure we kind of kept the team in place and sailed the ship smoothly in the first 3 months was our top priority.
Yeah.
So it's been what, 10 months? You told me you acquired the business, which when I hear about it, it's a lot of changes, a lot of projects. It seems to me that you guys think about a lot on what you do. Do you experiment a lot in your strategy, and do you share, if you do experiment or a lot or a little, but do you share that also with the team, and do you how does that work, coming up with new ideas, new projects?
I think we definitely try and experiment.
I think biggest experiment has been the price increases.
Yeah.
So I mean, we have a Strobes and More branded line, and so we've been experimenting with price increases. The team has been involved along the way, and certainly times where they would say, hey, I don't know if we should do it on this product. This product's underpriced. We can do it on this product. So we're definitely pulling the team. We do have senior leadership meetings weekly where these topics are discussed. And so we have a core group of leaders who are fantastic and have been super helpful for Jack and I. And we definitely bounce ideas off of them. They'll definitely keep us in check if we have any crazy ideas.
Yeah, I mean, Cole mentioned we're still newcomers to the industry, and we've got a handful of senior leadership team members that have been with the business for a long time, and they generally will be vocal about something if they disagree with a decision that we're considering making. But I mean, yeah, experimentation I think is key to a lot of this. Just trying things, as long as there's a thesis there and you've got some underlying rationale for why you're gonna do something, and just making sure that if the effects are not what you forecasted, you can kind of pull back and change course need be.
So we talked about the upcoming project, the new website, which I guess is one of the big ones. Do you have any exciting upcoming projects that you wanted to discuss? Oh, that's the biggest, I guess that's the biggest one, because that is make or break.
Now, given it's a little scary just migrating from one site to another. There's some SEO prowess that can be lost there. So trying to make sure that stays intact, and 90% of our sales all come through the website. So it's the key part of our business. So transitioning that is our biggest focus, at least here in the short term. I don't know if there's anything else that comes to your mind, but that's where my head's at.
No, that website migration project, I would say, is top of the list, absolutely, and is going to be pretty paramount to a successful back half of the year. I mean, we're tinkering around with the idea of implementing an operating system at the start of the new year. And there are constantly like minor projects that we're working on, but I'd say that's top of the list. We rolled out a bonus program for our managers that is kind of function specific, and that has actually been, I think, a pretty good win. We'll continue to do that for the rest of the kind of rank and file team members throughout the remainder of the year. That actually took way more time than we ever thought it would, but again, it's kind of about keeping people happy, assuming they're performing right and showing up and doing all that sort of stuff, which our team generally is.
So I mean, I think we're ramping up our PPC just on the digital marketing.
Yeah,
that's a smaller project that can happen regardless of the website. So that's monitoring that. We've also started some SMS campaigns, kind of experimenting with that. That's definitely an experiment just to see how that works. Some good initial results on that. So there's a couple other smaller projects that are going on.
Cool. And is there one app or one tool that you use that in your daily routine that you can't live without?
I mean, I hate to say it, but probably Ship for Shop.
I mean, the website backbone would be at the top of that list. Our shipping platform, which we use, ShipStation, would also be second to that, right? That's how we print all our labels, track all our shipments, and make sure our fulfillment function is operating at its best ability. So ShipStation would be near the top of that list as well.
Yeah, I think post migration, Shopify will be like the nucleus.
Agreed.
Of our business.
And we'll know that ShipStation and Shopify, work very well together. So that's going to be very exciting for you as well to make it a little bit more seamless.
The other one we're excited about, which I guess is an ongoing project I didn't mention that has taken way longer than we thought, is just inventory management. Inventory is a huge part of our business, and making sure that the inventory management system is accurate and staying updated. It has been a big project and one we're still working on.
Yeah,
that's like a a lot of projects in the air and a lot of important things in the air. It's pretty exciting. And so my final question to you guys is, what are you excited about in the world of digital marketing, and what are you worried about? So I know this question could last an hour. I'll just would like to get a summary response because there is I know a lot to talk about. But what are the two main things? Like, what are the things that one thing that you're excited and one thing that you're worried about?
I think what we're excited about is seeing the PPC spend start to translate into like serious top line growth. Because again, it wasn't an area that we had a lot of exposure to prior to us coming in and running the business. So in theory, that's like untapped revenue potential. I'm sure there would be like some degree of cannibalization with the customers that are already coming to the site, but that hopefully will work out for us. On the concerns, I mean, I'm not an expert in like Google or Meta's algorithms, but
we have heard horror stories of algorithm changes. So algorithm changes concurrent with us moving to Shopify and moving the website definitely keeps me up at night a little bit.
Yeah,
so that's probably what we're worried about most.
Yeah. We need all eyes on the new Shopify page before we click go.
All right, super guys. Well, it was amazing to hear about really entrepreneurship and how do you start from having a drink to owning a e-commerce company that has been there for decades. So we'll link in the description maybe some information about Search Fund, because I think that was pretty interesting to hear about that, and Strobes and More. So if anybody needs to outfit or anybody that works in a city, in the fire department, police station, we would say tow truck companies, EMS, you guys can go to strobesandmore.com and then buy anything you have. And I'm sure we can call and also ask if we have any questions on that. You guys have a team that can help set up a whole system, right?
We have a team of customer support team that's very knowledgeable, a couple tech experts who know what they're talking about. So we can definitely find what you need.
Yeah. And if anyone wants to chat further, Cole and I are available via email. We're pretty easy to find at this point in time.
Super. Guys, thank you so much. And we'll see you later.
Thanks, Alex.
Awesome. Thanks,
Appreciate
Alex.
the opportunity.
Thanks for having us.
Fun time.